Hello, Catamounts. My name is Alex Hoffman, and this is Chats with Cats. In this series, I will be interviewing some of our amazing athletes here at WCU. Today's guest is Kirsten Hahn of our women's soccer team. How are you, Kirsten?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming in. Go ahead and jump right into this. Go ahead and please introduce yourself. Tell me and the camera who you are, what you do on the team.
Well, I'm Kirsten Hahn, and as said, I play on the women's soccer team. I'm a forward, but also get thrown into the midfield a little bit. Just really depends on the formation we're playing. I'm also one of 3 captains on the team, so in terms of my role, I wouldn't say I just have one. Obviously on the field, trying to score goals, set up goal-scoring opportunities for other teammates, taking accurate crosses, making hard runs, etc. In terms of off the field, as a captain, obviously I require a lot of accountability and awareness of what's going on within the team. So I just try to be an approachable teammate that the girls feel comfortable coming to talk to.
Yeah, one thing that I've noticed about a lot of our student athletes is that off the court and off the field is that a lot of them talk about a family feel, and it kind of sounds like you were touching on that. So.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we've got a very tight-knit group this year especially, and I think that led to a lot of our success on the field this season as well.
Speaking of that success, tell me a little bit about the thrill of winning the SoCon championships.
It still feels surreal, and I think it's going to stay feeling that way for a little bit. I mean, at this level of athletics, I think if you asked any athlete, they could tell you that they've had their fair share of winning trophies and championships in high school, middle school even, club teams. But winning both the regular season and the SoCon tournament just had this really special feeling to it. And I think that's because of 2 things. The first being the girls themselves, the team, the coaching staff, just the people. And the second being the community. In terms of the people, you know, despite having accomplished so much this season, we had to overcome a lot of adversity to get there. Just looking at our back line, for example, 3 out of the 4 of our defenders, 90-minute players, starters, we ended up losing throughout the season to knee injuries. And that kind of took a toll. Not a lot of teams can bounce back from those kind of setbacks, especially when it's so many right after one another. Caitlin Galbraith, for example, one of our outside backs, she went down 10 minutes into our final game, arguably one of the most pivotal moments of our careers. Luckily, though, with such a large roster of 32, 33, we have a lot of depth packed into there, so Samantha Whitaker was able to step up in place of Caitlin and did a great job at helping us get to that final whistle. So it was just, the people are really important in terms of overcoming all of that adversity and getting there.
Yeah.
But in terms of community, obviously we had all of Western backing us along the way. You know, once you start to win a few games in a row, people's ears kind of pick up and they're like, okay, this is what's happening. But I really like to focus on our program alumni. We just have an amazing group of women and men from way back when we still had a men's team here that are just so supportive of our team. They follow along with our season every year. And we had a lot of girls who were watching our semifinal game, basically just waiting for us to win. And as soon as we did, they went and booked a flight from California, we had Florida, Canada even, just so they could come and watch our final game because they knew that it would kind of be a moment in history for the program, which I think just goes to show that it's so much bigger than this current team. Like, it goes way deeper, and it's an achievement to anyone who's ever been a part of the program.
Yeah, it's nice to also have a lot of that support, not only from your team, but from all the alumni that came before you. I also wanted to talk to you, how much motivation does your coaching staff give you?
Chad and Nick give us a lot of motivation in a lot of different aspects of our lives, which I think is something I've really come to appreciate. It's hard to find coaches that care about you not only as a player, but as a student and most importantly as a person. Their motivation styles change depending on the player they're speaking to, as well as the situation, which I think they do a really good job at differing between different situations. For example, sometimes it's better to hear the hard truth and you need to have kind of those difficult conversations, and other times you just need words of encouragement. But they do a really good job. They have a good dynamic and they balance each other out really well.
Yeah, it's really good to have a good dynamic too, because if you don't, then it can ruin the vibe of everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you have someone or something specifically that motivates you to play soccer?
Definitely my parents. My dad in particular, he's played sports his whole life, played soccer for the majority of his life, and is essentially the reason I fell in love with the sport in the first place. But my mom too. My parents are my biggest supporters, even way back home in Canada. They watch all my games. They try to bring me down to school when they can, just so they can catch one in person. I honestly wouldn't be the person or player I am today without them. They've provided me with so many opportunities and experiences that have essentially allowed me to be where I am now.
That's great. Tell me a little bit about what brought you to play specifically at Western.
What brought me to play at Western, I actually ended up coming here with one of my old teammates, Paige McCara, who's one of our graduating seniors this year. Paige and I played back home in Canada for a couple of seasons, and the assistant coach at the time was doing some recruiting around Toronto. We were playing a couple games that weekend, and he ended up watching us, liked what he saw, invited us on an official visit together, which obviously we said yes to. So we came down to Cullowhee, we toured the campus, met the rest of the coaching staff, as well as some of the girls that were on the team at the time, and I just fell in love with the whole concept of Western, the mountains, the kindness of the people, but most importantly, I saw the connection between the girls on the team, which that was something that was really important to me, especially being so far from home. I wanted to have that sense of family, like you said, and be able to feel like I was a part of that. So I think that played a key role in my commitment here.
Yeah, a lot of people really talk about the family at Western and the commitment to that family, and so it's really amazing to bring our athletes here in that way. So I did kind of want to change gears. So these interviews are meant to do more than just talk about our student athletes as the student athlete, more of just the student and the person, like you mentioned. So if you don't mind telling us, what's your major, minor, etc.?
So I'm currently majoring in biology with a concentration in the pre-health profession and minoring in chemistry.
And do you have any specific plans with your degree, grad school?
The goal is to end up at veterinary school back home in Canada. I'd like to further my athletic career while I'm there as well, but kind of take a turn away from soccer and go towards rugby. That was my other passion alongside soccer, but obviously I wanted to explore both pathways, so it'd be nice to get back into that a bit. And then, yeah, hopefully get a job working with large exotic animals, and then eventually maybe owning a small practice. Yeah.
Have you been to any of the club rugby?
I have not yet. I have a lot of friends on the teams though. Yeah, so sometimes they let me go out and borrow their kicking tees and balls sometimes, which is nice.
It's an interesting little switch.
You'd be surprised, there's a lot more in common than you think.
Yeah. What is your best memory at WCU so far, both athletics related or not?
I think athletics related, obviously. Winning the championship, yeah. It can't get much better than that. But not athletics related, the first thing that comes to mind is something I actually did recently with two of my roommates. It was actually posted on WCU Barstool. It was pouring down with rain one day, and we went and we put these trash bags on ourselves and lathered it up with dish soap and went sliding down the big hill that's right by Norton and the soccer field. And we just slid down and ran up, slid down, ran up, and we were out there for hours. It was really random, but it was really fun.
There were a lot of people in trash bags, like just jumping in puddles in front of Blue Ridge in that area too. Sounds like fun though. Interesting.
Gotta make the most out of the rain here, right?
Yeah, WCU, we carry umbrellas. So last question, it's not necessarily athletics or academics, kind of a fun question. Who's your go-to artist to listen to before a game to get ready?
Oh, I listen to a little bit of everything. I feel like being just outside of Toronto, I feel obligated to say Drake, but I do like Drake. Honestly, my guilty pleasure artist has to be Pitbull. There's just something about his music that gets me pumped before games. And then our team as a whole before all of our home games. Right before we go out to warm up, we always listen to Good Old Days by Macklemore and Kesha. We have a little dance circle and hug it out, and that's kind of been like a really special ritual before each game.
Sounds like that brings it back to the family and the energy that got you guys to win the championship.
Yeah.
So that was my last question. That is it for today's Chats with Cats with Kirsten Hahn. Thank you, Kirsten, for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. See you next time, and go Cats.